Well, welcome to the podcast. Yes, here's your host, Rob Elliott, and we have another amazing guest. This time, he is from just north of LA. I hear that he goes down to Disneyland quite a lot with his family, so he's not very far from there. That's the best way to describe him. He is what we call a marketing coach, but he wasn't always a marketing coach. He lives there with his family. Welcome to the show, Rodney Daut. How are you, mate?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good. I see it'd be nice and warm over there in LA at the moment.
Yes, it is. It's a good. I'm in Orange County, and yeah, it's a pretty moderate temperature. Fortunately, we had some hot periods in July, but now
Mm.
it's okay.
Yeah, we're just coming out of winter in Australia, and it's probably been one of our shortest, sharpest winters. I
Mm,
mean, it's not, certainly not winter by a lot of America, very similar to your winter over there. So,
yes.
mind you, they've said that they had some of the biggest snow dumps ever, but due to this COVID, no one's been able to go. So,
Oh, that's too bad.
yeah, so man, all good. So, you grew up, or at the moment, you're living in Fullerton, USA. For
Hmm.
my American people over there, they'll know where that is. I have not a clue. Well, I know where LA is. I don't know where you are. Have you always lived in the area?
Most of my life, I mean, when we were little, we actually lived in Inglewood,
Yep.
California, and then we moved to Orange County. We moved to Placentia, and then I went to college in LA, in
Yep.
LA proper. And then when I was done with college, I moved to Long Beach and then to back to Orange County eventually.
Awesome. Awesome. So, at school, were you the student that sat in the front, in the middle, or the back?
That's a good question. I mean, in college, yeah, I always sat in the front. I mean, you just get in there and you might as well.
So, like everyone else in LA, did you study screenwriting and producing and filmmaking?
No, I actually studied political science. So,
Political
and
science.
yeah, and then I actually got a teaching credential while I was an undergrad as well. So I was a public school teacher for a number of years.
So, you obviously didn't say that when you were out at a pub on a Friday night.
No, no, no. Well, actually, I would have. I mean, I didn't typically go to pubs, but I would have. Yeah, when I was a public school teacher, yeah, I typically let people know if they asked,
So, you actually
and they
got
would
to
ask
teach?
me. Oh yeah, I taught world history for 10th graders,
Mm.
and I taught government to
Yep.
kids in 11th, 12th grade. I taught economics. So yeah, I had to teach all that stuff.
So, what age were you teaching?
So the youngest I had when I was teaching high school was 10th grade, and then the oldest I had were seniors. But
Mm.
by the end, I was teaching nothing but 10th grade.
Yeah. And well, what were they like to teach?
They were good. I mean, it was an underperforming school, but the kids were, they were good. There was always a few squirrely ones and a few
Mm.
that required some extra work as far as discipline is concerned. But it was actually a good time teaching.
Awesome. Awesome. So, why did you leave and where did you go after that?
So I ended up, meeting some people who were doing coaching,
Mm.
what type of life coaching. And I worked with them, and what they had taught me ended up really making a difference in my life. And I
Yep.
thought, I really want to get into that field.
Yeah.
So I ended up learning marketing because I saw that they had some great stuff, but they were struggling, even though
Yeah.
they had this fantastic methodology that was really working. So I learned how to, learned more about marketing, and then
Mm.
I pitched the ideas to them, and at first they were like, I don't know about that, and then. But then months later, one day, they called me up and said, "Hey, can you talk to us about some of that stuff again?" And so I ended up helping them create a compelling offer, which was they had this system to help people change their feelings, their
Yeah.
behavior. It's fantastic stuff. But if you go to their website, it's all about just it's so broad, and nobody could believe it.
Yeah.
And so we said, let's focus on one problem that a lot of people have. And then, that way all your marketing will be focused on that, all your testimonials will be focused on that, and make it really believable. And we ended up hitting on fear of public speaking. And so then he went out and found clients for it, just just hunting around all his network.
Yeah.
Worked with them, got testimonials from every single one of them, worked with them, got rid of their fear of public speaking. Then I had found materials and said, here's how you build a website. Here's how he went and did all those things. Here, wrote copy, showed it to me and edited it a little bit. And they started having business. And then they actually, I was actually trained in their work during this time period. So they actually sent some of the clients off to me. They ended up having so many. And then they had to get another person they had trained to also handle the clients. So, so basically I ended up getting, that's what ended up starting my second career.
Mate, that sounds absolutely awesome. Was it a big jump, or was it scary going from a regular income teaching in front of kids so you sort of knew how they were going to behave to the business world?
Well, it wasn't scary, but I should have been scared. And I'll tell you why, because I just was so optimistic and I thought, oh, well, I'll stop teaching and I'll just do this full time. And I had clients lined up and then all the clients dried up.
Yeah.
And
you learned.
So, so I had to learn how to market myself, and that was before I helped them create a thriving business for them where they would send me some clients. But so I ended up having to work with my clients to make money. I ended up working for test prep companies to help them work with their students. And then eventually, after I helped my mentors grow their business, they hired me on to actually be their marketer. So I basically helped them create new programs. I helped them market those programs. And that was,
So what was the, early on, what was the biggest mistake you made?
That's a really good question. The biggest mistake I would say is the mistake that you see a lot of really good entrepreneurs don't make, which is don't give up your day job until you've kind of figured out how to keep a flow going for yourself. Don't give it up, because the guys who started Google, Sergey Brin and Larry Page and Sergey Brin, they still kept their jobs, and they were still in graduate programs, and they were working on another career. They even tried to sell Google and nobody wanted to buy it. Which is probably good for them. But they kept that going because Google wasn't paying the bills yet. So so that's what I would do. I would never do that again. Just jump in, because I thought, oh, hey, I'm confident. I know I can make this work. Let me just jump into the deep end. No, I would not do that again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how hard was it to learn? You basically taught yourself marketing, trial and error, try, fail, succeed. How hard was it to do that? And how hard was it to have the confidence then to pitch yourself when you haven't got a degree, at the time, you haven't got all the so-called kudos behind you, and people are going, well, why would I give you my money when you have no credibility? I mean, they're pretty harsh out there, business.
So they didn't give me any money. That's the thing. It was based purely on the logic of the idea, as well as here's other people doing it. So I'll tell you one of the books that I had read at the time was a book called Niche Craft by a woman named Dr. Falkenstein. That book is out of print now, but it basically taught you this idea of, look, you're a professional, whatever field you're in, you can get a lot more clients more easily if you focus on a specific niche area. And so that's the idea I presented them. I said, we need to do that. And if you present that idea and you explain why it would make sense, all you have to do after that is hear what they say. And what happened in that case was objections. Oh, well, but what about this? What about that? But that's good, because that means they've already bought into your premise, and now they're trying to problem solve the premise. And so his issue was, well, what if people think that's the only thing we do and we can't do anything else? That was one of them. And so we worked through that. Yeah, because if you focus, like, for example, life coaches, a lot of times they want to be known as a life coach. I can help you with anything, right? Sure. And then I'll say, well, you can keep that, and we want to create some specific program that you can get known for. Maybe you're really good at helping people, declutter their life, right? That doesn't mean you have to abandon the other stuff, but you can have that program. We can figure out a way to market it and understand how to get people, hundreds of people in the door about that. And then, of course, once they're in the door, they trust you. And after you've got them results, they will trust you. And if you offer them something else, then a lot of them will still take you up on it if they need something else. So it doesn't have to, eliminate other possibilities for what you do.
Look, I think niching, if you don't have a niche, and you're right, if you're too broad, people don't know what you stand for, what your product is.
Exactly.
If someone comes to you in a small business and says, how do I discover my niche? Or I don't know what my niche is. What do you say to them?
Well, that's the thing is if they don't have one, they won't know. And it's a matter of you have to create it. And so just like with the other organization I worked for, I mean, they were like, we help people change their behavior and their emotions. That's what we do. That's our niche. And I said, well, that's too broad. A niche is a small thing, so you look at what I would do with what I do with someone is I say, let's look at, when I'm coaching them, let's look at a list of problems you've helped people solve.
Yeah.
So if they came in with a complaint, these are the complaints they came in with. What are a bunch of those? Yep. Another list we'll make is, what are the results you like to help people get? So we got problems in one column, we got results in another column. From that, we then start to make a determination, which is something you would really like to delve into and go deeper into. And to handle the objection of, is everyone going to think this is the only thing I do? I say, if you have a mansion, how many entrances do you let people into your mansion? Right? There might be 12 different doors, but there's one door you invite people into. And so this is the door you invite people into your world. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing they're going to see. So, and that usually takes a lot of the pressure off, that I have to find this thing that I'm going to always do. And that's the second objection, which is, oh, I have to stick with this? Well, no, you can change it. I mean, somebody will say, but I'll have built all these marketing assets. Yep, and they'll still be there if you decide you want to do something else. But also, you'll have learned things about yourself, about marketing, and your own skill sets. So if you do decide to change something about it, a lot of times it's not super different. And so it's really, it's not a bad thing at all to change your mind on the niche that you're focused on. So I say, no, that's perfectly fine. And I don't believe anything is lost. I believe that you can still use some of those assets and skills you've learned.
Have you ever had someone where you can see the niche, it's right in front of you, and we say they can't see the forest for the trees? They just can't see it.
I've had ones where I ask them a question and it just pops out of their mouth, and they have no idea that it just came out of their mouth. Like that something useful just arrived. I don't usually know their niche, because I don't know. I even though I've looked at their materials, whatever they've got when I first work with them, I don't know what we're going to end up with. But I see possibilities. But I've definitely had that. So I'll give you an example. There was a woman. She said she was like an image consultant, and I've heard this term before, but I didn't really know what it was. And I say, what is that? And she starts listing all these things. Oh, we work with self-esteem and this and that and all these, how they dress and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. What's something your clients complain about that you help them with? And she thinks about it and she says, oh, they say her clients are all women. She says they don't get the plum assignments at work, which would allow them to progress in their career. So other people get the best assignments, not them. And I said, so you help them with that? When you do all this work with them, they end up getting noticed and getting those assignments? She's like, oh yeah, they do. Well, there you go. That's what you can open with. You can say, look, I help you get the plum assignments at work that can grow your career. And she's like, wow, thank you. And that was just a conversation. She wasn't even a paid client. We were just talking. So sometimes that happens real quick like that.
Wow. It's do you think that post-COVID, people looking for their niche, a smart company would be reevaluating what their niche is to see if they need to pivot and change?
That's a good question. Potentially. It's probably more likely that they're switching something. So let's think of something that everyone deals with: restaurants, right? You could have a restaurant, you could have one of your things might be that you have such wonderful ambiance in your restaurant. Well, doesn't help anymore.
No, not at all.
Or you've got entertainment, because we have sometimes, like in the LA area, some restaurants actually, the whole process of getting your meal is entertaining. Well, again, that's out the door.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, actually, I should say maybe it's out the door, because you might be able to translate it somehow. To like, so you have to change what you're doing. So if I were in a high-end restaurant business, and you're not going to bring those, there's a couple things you could do. One is people can rent out your restaurant, even if it's for 2 people, and then that way it stays safe if you had to do that. Or people could, you can bring it to them, the entire restaurant experience to their home. That's really high end. But what I would do is you look at what's a result we can give people, even if it's food like that. I'll tell you what I would do, and this is anyone who has a restaurant, if you're listening to this, really listen to this, because hardly any of them ever listen, and I'm just not in that business, at least at the moment. Get yourself an email list.
Database, yeah.
And here's the reason why. And they say, well, I do delivery through DoorDash and these and I say, yeah, but they're taking your profits away at the same time.
Correct.
But what do pizza places do? They deliver themselves. Now, why? Because the demand is high enough for that model to be supported. But you could control your demand if you had an email list. You don't have to do, you can do delivery, and you can send the delivery through DoorDash on days that you're not that you're not so busy. But on the days you are busy, if you arrange it right, you can make sure that the offers to your email list go out on certain days, like Wednesdays that are really slow normally, for example. And then if you have delivery people, that they're ready on that day. So
we had a Indian restaurant, a local Indian, absolutely beautiful people, the Sikhs. Their food is traditional. The naan bread doesn't look the same twice. Everything is made beautiful. And when COVID first hit, they were using DoorDash, Deliveroo, Uber. And because they'd never done it before. They'd only done it, they mostly just tried it out of the restaurant. And then people said to them, why don't you just do it yourself? And so what they did was they got a website up to order online, offered 10% off anyone who just ordered through them, and charged $8 delivery.
There you go.
So all their customers stopped ordering out of the ones that do the 20 and 30% markup, ordered through them, got a discount, and they got their customers their customers.
Exactly.
And we were getting delivered by the same people that would serve us if we went to the restaurant.
That's right. That's right.
They just adapted. It was awesome.
See, and that's the kind of thing you need to do, is you just figure out another way around it. And what people do is they just accept these things. Oh, this is delivery. This is how much it is. No, you can become your own delivery service. And in fact, if I were in this business, and especially if there are restaurants nearby me, we could always pool our resources together. To do, in fact, or I could just charge them for delivery, but charge them less than DoorDash if I have my own people to do it. Because this is how, like, when you read about companies who thrived, like during the Great Depression, they were just nimble and they would just make money any way they could. And they would just keep on. We can't make money that way. We're going to do it this way. Or you look at someone like Alfred Hitchcock. He didn't like the profitability of the movies. He thought his movies were so great. In those days, you used to pay a flat fee to get into the theater and watch whatever movies were there. And he didn't want that. He wanted you to buy a ticket for his movie. So he arranged those business deals to make that happen. And that's just how, and because he's like, I don't think it's fair. I think my movies are better than other movies out there. And you should be paying to see my movie. And so he made people line up for his movie. And that's kind of, when you read about business people who keep thriving under all these circumstances, they drive forward. They just make a decision, and what happens is they're usually driven by emotion. I don't like this. I don't like this situation. I don't think it's fair. Well, then we're going to do something about it. Right? We're going to make it more fair for us. And, there it is. So, and I think that Indian restaurant's a perfect example. Let's build our own delivery service. Let's give them a discount, because we're already paying 20, 30%. Anyway, we might as well give the customers a discount. Plus, if you look at the fees, and this is something they could use on their site, even when it's $0 delivery fee, there's still a delivery fee, a hidden one.
Yes, always.
Really bugged me. It was like, oh, taxes and surcharges and whatever. And then when I read the fine print, there's like a second delivery fee within there. So even when it's free delivery, it's not. And then some of them mark up the price of every single thing on the menu on top of that.
Correct.
So then look at how much you're helping the customer save money,
Mm.
And you could even detail out, here's how much this meal would be if you went to DoorDash. Here's how much it's if you order
Yes.
through us. Holy moly, because I was literally shocked when
I
I
was
saw.
shocked too. I spoke to a guy who our local kebab place.
Mhm.
You know, they got this thing of they serve the regulars quicker than they serve anybody else.
So basically,
Actually an old pub trick. Uh, Behind the bar, you always look after the regulars over the blow-ins, as you call them. And they said to me,
ah,
like, we pay, say it's $12 for a chicken kebab. He said to me one day, he said, Rob, he said, these idiots are paying $18 plus delivery for my kebab when they could just drive down the road and get it themselves. He said, I don't care. He said, but I'm still getting my $12.
hmm
He said, this is mad.
right,
He said,
right.
well, so what they did was they got a QR code and you can put it through and you can pre-order. So you just walk in, pick it up and
Mm.
go. Pre-ordered, paid and done.
Ah,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely, man. You were talking before about offers, and you're
hmm
talking about how Alfred Hitchcock created a different offer. A lot
hmm
of people in business believe you've got to offer somebody something cheap to get them onto your mailing list or get them through the door and then try and upsell them. But other
Mm.
people think you shouldn't do that because it's actually cheapening your brand. You should just say, well, this is what I'm worth. This is what I'm going to be offering. What do you think on that?
It all depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely a big fan of freebies as long as the freebie gives a result. So basically, one of the things you'll hear from me, result, result all the time, because
Yeah. Yeah.
whether you're giving away something free or something that people buy, I always want them to have a result. And the reason for that is most people just give information. If you give result, it puts you head and shoulders above everybody else.
So what do you mean by
And
result?
so result means that at the end, if they get a free report or a freebie from you,
Mm,
they have the ability to do something they could not do before.
mm,
Or even if it's completing a project, or I have a free report on how to create ideas for free
yeah.
reports. And basically that's what I walk them through is here's the thinking process to come up with an idea that will actually make people want to do business with you, so
Yeah.
that you'll have a free report and they'll have a free report and they'll go, that was really good. I really got I got an actual result from that.
Mm,
And nobody else gave them that result but you. And now that puts you head and shoulders above everybody else who is just giving them a dump of information. Like there's those reports that are like 50 ways to do X. Here's what I always tell people: 50 sounds good to you as the person who owns the business. To
yeah.
me, that sounds terrible. Just give me the one or two things that really work well, and don't make me sift through 50.
Yeah. I see those lists. I sit there going, really?
I'm like, I don't want 50 ideas. Just give me one good one.
So what
you
do you
know?
reckon if someone's giving out free information or a free how to cook your butter chicken better, 5 easy steps,
Mhm.
what do you think is an acceptable conversion rate from that over to a paid client?
It's really hard to say what's an acceptable conversion rate. I look at different conversions. So you want to have a freebie, but then you want to, if you're getting clients, you're a
Yeah.
professional, you want the freebie to help you get to a free strategy session. So
Mm,
because it's a big jump from free all the way, just let me start paying you to work with me. They haven't like felt your presence yet to see,
yeah.
is this guy a jerk, or is he nice, or is he too nice, or is he gonna is he like the kind of person that I think I can work
Mm,
with? So they need to meet you. And so that you have a freebie, but then you have a free strategy session. Now,
yeah.
if your freebie is really good, they're thinking, this guy, just for free, look what I got. If I meet this person, they know no matter how you phrase your free strategy session, they know that you're going to try to sell them. So the only people usually who will take it, even if because I talk to people how to design the free strategy session so it produces a real benefit, a real result for them, for the attendee who comes to it. And then you can feel good about giving it. They feel good about being there, but at the same time, you're still selling them. And they know this is coming. So if you didn't do a good job with everything they saw before, they're not even going to want to show up to that. So the conversion rate is really difficult. My conversion rate for online is really low, but for meeting somebody person to person, it's very high.
Mm,
So if I meet you in real life, not online, but in real life, and I talk to you and I say, hey, if they say something like, what do you charge or something? And I'll say, it's really hard to say because I have to figure out a program that fits for what you need, and I can't do that with just a 5-minute conversation. So why don't we get on a call and then we can talk about it, and I'll look at what your goals are, what's in your way, and then I can, suggest something that would be helpful to you. And they'll either say yes or no. My second thing is, oh, well, you know what? How about I send you my free report? And once I send them my free report, hopefully they get on my email list. Sometimes I'll just email it off to them, and then I'll say, hey, by the way, you might want to join my list because you'll get more stuff like this. And then they'll say, oh, they look at that and they go, oh, wow. Then maybe they get an email from me that I personally send them with some more free information. And they say, this is really good. Yeah, let's book a call. So it's hard to say what the conversion rate is, but I can tell you one-on-one, it's much, 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 much higher. It gets close to 100%. But for online, it's just all these people come in and hardly any of them book a free strategy call.
Yeah, so, I hear what you're saying. I do a lot of charity work, and I raise money for a kids' cancer charity. And email, over the phone, everything, not a lot. But if I get in front of someone that I know, I don't fail.
Yep, that's right.
I come away with something.
Yep, that's right.
And I totally agree with what you're saying.
And so, but everyone goes online because they think online's easier, but it is not. What's easier? The easier place to make money. Do you ever see the movie A Beautiful Mind?
Yes.
So there's this scene in A Beautiful Mind where there's a beautiful girl at the bar, and all the gentlemen all come in, and they're all thinking about her. And then he realizes that if they all want to date, they shouldn't focus on her. They should focus on the other women around her. She will, feel jealous and whatever, but they'll feel really complimented that you overlooked her and went straight to them, right? And he mathematically figures it out, and they show it with diagrams and whatever. And the thing is you want to go where the people are, and not everybody else is trying to get them. Since everybody's online, that's not where you want to be. You want to be offline. COVID made this super hard, though. Yes. But offline, it's so much easier, because if you go to a networking meeting and you show up there every day and you conduct yourself well and you give really good answers to questions and things like that, the percentage of those people, there might be only 10 people that show up at this networking meeting, but they see you every day, they get comfortable with you, they start trusting you, and you help one of them succeed, and now the others start falling like dominoes if they need your service. Or being willing to refer you. You know what, there was this guy in my group, he helped this guy with his back problem or whatever, he's a doctor or he's whatever, and they have a friend, they say, you know what, you really should go to this guy. Now they haven't even worked with him personally, but they trust him because he's there every day. Online, that's hard to do. It's possible if you do enough email that's really good. Every once in a while you see someone who emails every day or emails twice a week, and they're really great. If you can develop that level of skill, then mass work online can work. But it's so much easier just to meet people in person. And if again, with COVID, it's hard. So what I do with COVID is with clients is I say, meet them virtually and make yourself the expert. So you find groups where you can speak to, and you give speeches. And in person would be better, but obviously it's not available. And the more local, the better. So I use Meetup, and you form your own Meetup group. You create your own tribe on Meetup. And the number, how those people treat you as the person who created that is way different than, if you're just some marketer out there, but you're somebody. I think I knew somebody who was doing something related to something with knitting. And I'm like, I didn't know you could really build a business that way, but she did. She had all these people, and they were going and teaching their thing. And they were like, wow, you're an expert. You must be. But she thought she was only moderately good at it. And then she ended up getting clients from that. And there's, so it's meeting people. The more intimate the setting, the better the conversion rate is basically the principle, I would say.
Oh, look, I was speaking to an international communications coach, and she was saying pretty much the same thing, that a lot of people now are hiding behind digital, hiding behind the internet, because it's easy, it's lazy. They can just put up a nice website, put up some Instagram, some TikToks and whatever, and then they expect it to come in. They've forgotten that humans rely on humans. Humans need that interaction, and without it, they don't feel comfortable. They like to meet the person, be it over Zoom or even in person when we get back to that. Where do you see post-COVID with marketing? If someone's sitting next to you now in 6 months' time in the new year, say, and we've gone through 2 years of this pandemic, and it looks like, we're actually this is going to be good now. We're going to get back to business. What do you see changing, and where do you see businesses having to look at when it comes to marketing compared to what it was pre-COVID?
Ultimately the basic marketing principles don't change, because it's all, in psychology, it's all up in the brain.
Yep.
What you're going to see is businesses that thrived during the pandemic are going to have a big advantage.
Yeah.
So if you're in a business now and you're thinking, hey, when it's over, I'll finally thrive, figure out how to thrive now. It's just like the Great Depression. When businesses that could thrive, anyone who could build a business during the Great Depression, I mean, they made a monster killing afterwards. Like Walt Disney started his studio during the Great Depression. People would say, you should wait till later. Yeah, but if you can make it then, you can make it anytime.
How true. How so true.
So what happens is, and then anybody who survived has now a big advantage.
Yeah.
No matter what type of work you're doing. I mean, obviously you're doing marketing. They're like, wow, you could market and get, people clients during this time. Well, you can really do it when everything's better. So what I do see is people are going to want to do things, go back to normal. So they're going to want to do what they used to do. So live events are going to be a big deal again. Live events have always been a great thing to do for marketing your business. If you're a restaurant, put on events at your restaurant again.
Yes.
If you're a bookstore, put on events at your bookstore. This is something that not everyone does, but they should do. Events. People like to show up to a place for a reason.
Yes.
Give them a reason to show up.
True.
I had a friend who helped people market, and he helped what's it called? Stores that sold beds, mattress stores. Oh, yeah. Right. And what he would do is he would say, you either, if you know a lot about like mattresses and sleep, you give some free seminars. And they would always say, we don't know all that stuff. So you'd say, well, just invite someone in. Just keep inviting people in to give free speeches in your place of business on sleep. And anyone who's a sleep expert, doctors, chiropractors might have a thing, right? Yeah. Anybody, let them hawk their wares. It's all good. Make sure it's a win-win for both of you. But everyone's going to be sitting on your beds during the seminars.
True.
And they're going to experience it. And when they may not buy a bed right there, because beds, that's not an impulse purchase. But of course, you probably sell pillows and and you sell some other things, but they get to know your business. They've been in your business. They're comfortable with your business.
Well, you end up with someone like Grant Cardone selling beds like he did in the billionaire, the mystery billionaire, what it was that was on cable last year.
I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check that one out. Yeah. But so events are a big thing. Events have always been a great thing. People don't use them enough. There used to be a comic book store nearby me, and he built that business. He was selling toys and selling them online. And he said, oh, it'd be cool to just take the back area and use it to sell comics. And then started getting really popular. And he just started putting on events. He would just invite these artists and these writers who make these books in. Surprisingly, a lot of them just show up places if people invite them, or you pay them like some fee, some very nominal fee, and they show up. And he gets them there, and most of the stores don't do that. But he does it, and that causes his store to become more popular because they've never been to the store, but when they find out, so and so this artist is there, well, we're gonna go there. Oh, I've never been here. You know what? Next time I want something that they sell, maybe I should go there. And so people just don't do it enough. Events, and even when you're selling something online, you still turn it into an event. And so, the company I worked for, one of the things we would do, their courses wouldn't always sell and wouldn't always fill, and it's not great for them. So what we did is we just turned the date that the course goes on sale into an event, and it's months in the future, or sometimes it's a year or so in the future. Yeah. And we let people sign up for the waiting list for that. Yeah. And then there's more people on the waiting list, and there are spaces in the course, and we give them information along the way, and then we let them know, hey, it's going to go on, remind them a few weeks before, hey, the sale date is this. Be ready. Here's the hour it goes on sale. And now we sell out the courses in an hour or two. Right. And it's an event. If you have a course that's always on sale, then it's not an event. No. It's just, I go there, I buy it whenever I feel like it. But we sell more of them by making it an event than by having it always available. So you can't do that with everything, because certain businesses need to have products that are always there. If you're selling a book, it's probably weird to to take it off of Amazon and put it on a certain date every year or something.
Yeah.
But when you're selling courses, especially if there's a live component to it, then it makes a lot of sense to just take it. It's not on the market all the time. I'm not offering this all the time. And when you want it, here's the dates, and sign up if you want to be notified when it's on sale again. And but you turn things into events. That's what Marvel does really well.
Yes, they do. They do.
They do what I tell all my clients to: let everybody know everything that you're going to sell for the next certain number of months or even years. Let them sign up to be notified on it. And Marvel doesn't do the waiting list thing because that doesn't really make sense in their business. But they do let you know, oh, this movie, phase 4 movies, these are the phase 4 movies. And here's the, one's coming out that summer and one's coming out this other, in the spring. And you kind of have a general sense, or sometimes they have the month and the date, depending on what they've got, how close it is. And then you're waiting for it. And the people who watch Marvel movies, there's a lot of them that watch every single one.
True.
They will not go without watching any of them, because even the worst ones are still making hundreds of millions of dollars.
It's like the people who line up outside the Apple store to buy an iPhone, that if you wait 3 hours, you and I can walk up and get it without having to wait 2 days.
Exactly. And I'm not one of those people who would ever wait in line for the new, devices.
I never understood that.
Yeah. Well, I understand it because they've turned them into rabid fans.
Yes.
And how did they do that? Because they showed you the product months before it was on sale.
Yes.
They let you know about it. They showed you how cool it was. And
their marketing's awesome.
Yeah, the market's amazing. You kind of you always have to give something away a little bit. And sometimes there's somebody who sells tea who does this. And so what he does is he sources these unique teas from unique parts of the world. And he'll tell his email list, oh, hey, we just went to Ceylon and we found this, tea farm, and this is a tea, that type of tea. And so here's the month we're going to actually have that tea available. And if you want us to let you know, go ahead and click on this thing, and then we'll let you know, you'll be the first in line to get the new tea, and that does it. That's already getting it in their mind. And then as you go through the process, they'll even say, oh, here's, by the way, it's been shipped to the facility at this, so that tea's getting closer that you can buy. You're just letting them have some anticipation. The worst thing is to announce it and then announce it 6 months ahead, and then between the 6 months and the date, never say anything until it goes on sale. No, you gotta keep dropping little things. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be brilliant. It just needs to happen.
True.
And people, they don't do enough of that. And especially, even if you're a local business, local coffee shop, the thing that I always think is, when you're going to open a new coffee shop, don't make it so people only find out about it the day the grand opening happens.
No.
They put some flyers out that says the date it's going to open before it opens.
Yeah.
Get on local podcasts, which surprisingly I found out there's local podcasts in different cities. Get on them. Get on the local newspaper. Sometimes the newspaper will actually say, here's businesses opening, but they don't often bother to tell them. Put press releases out. People will just little bits of stuff to let people know, and see if you're allowed to put any kind of signage that's not directly close to the business, but on busy street corners. Hey, it's opening on this date, and they're going to be like, what? Because hardly anybody does that. They're not open right now. I can't just go drive there and get right. No, but it's opening on this date. That's going to be the grand opening. Make it an event that people know about in advance.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that people don't do.
Look, it's so true. You see, the smartest businesses put the signage up before anything.
Exactly.
And then people watch it as they're fitting it out. If there's one person I could put you in front of to sit down and have a meal with in marketing or business, who would it be? Just one. One you could pick their brains and just have a good old conversation.
So the first person that comes to mind is Sean D'Souza. And most people will not have heard of him. He's in New Zealand.
Yep.
And I actually have access to him already, but if I wanted to have dinner with somebody, I would have it with him, because the things he taught me changed my life.
Yep.
The things he taught me about business and the things that he taught me about learning have been miraculous. I teach courses online, and it has dramatically changed my teaching. It literally has created another, aspect of my life that's so much better than it was before. That, that these people are learning something and learning in a vastly better way. That I've trained coaches, and they are so much more polished when they finish the training because of what I learned from Sean D'Souza. I mean, he teaches marketing, but his teaching, he's a highly effective teacher. I mean, it's just so yeah. That's who I'd sit down in front of.
Mate, as we start to wind up today, Rodney, is there one message you could give people who are a little bit hesitant or don't know a lot about marketing but are in small business that they could take as their piece of gold from today?
Yeah, so it's the thing we didn't talk a lot about, but it's a really important thing, is focus on an offer. Figure out one offer you can make that you believe in. You say, I can do this, right? Yeah. And then get a customer. People start thinking too much about all the customers and all these things, but you don't really know how people feel about that offer until you actually talk to the people.
Yeah.
And you get a customer, and you may find that your offer completely misses. I knew somebody who thought, he's a marketing coach. He's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be the guy who helps you get repeat business from your customers.
Yeah.
And that's a clear offer, and he got zero business from it. And he was hitting the pavement. He was doing all the things you should do, but nobody cared. So he focused on conversion, increasing the percentage of people that you meet that become, and now people were interested. And how do you know that? You don't know that. You only know it until you actually try to get a customer. Your customers will teach you what you need to know, or your potential customers, if you don't have customers yet. And so get a customer. And this is something that people go, and they get scared. I go, that's good. Your brain knows that that's hard, and it's trying to prepare you with energy to do the hard thing.
And so don't. There's the life coach coming out, yeah.
Exactly. Don't see that as a bad thing, that it's just uncomfortable. See that as your mind is aware that there's a challenge. Yes, this is difficult. That means I need energy for this challenge. And so it's making you a little nervous. That's okay. And you don't want to be the athlete that's calm and collected at the Olympics. You need a little bit of that nervous energy to get that power, to get that speed, to get whatever 100%. You need to have. Yeah, they actually have a thing they talk about in sports psychology called under arousal. The guy's just too relaxed. You don't need to be that guy. He's not performing at his best, because usually in training, nobody in competition, everyone performs better than during training. Why? True. Because the pressures of the moment and the adrenaline, all that stuff pushes you to your best. In training, it's really difficult to arrange that inner state. And so, no, I don't expect everyone to be calm, relaxed. As soon as I say, get yourself a customer, they go, ooh. And I go, what do you feel there? Oh, I'm a little scared. Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
That's all right.
Fuel.
Yeah.
I
That's
call
all
it
right.
fuel.
That's fuel, right? So don't worry about that so much. And they'll say things like, well, people won't believe me if I'm nervous. And I say, I haven't experienced that, that they're going to feed off of that and notice that you're nervous, say she's not telling the truth.
Yeah.
What I've seen is if people hide stuff, that they're hiding something. So just don't hide anything. Just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Don't say I've done this a million times if you've not. No. Just say this is a new service. This is a new service I'm offering. If it's new, if you don't make it sound like you have 10 years of experience. If you don't need to do anything dishonest.
Yeah.
Just be honest, be straightforward. You obviously don't have to start revealing everything in your life.
That's true.
But that's the thing is, so you're naturally gonna be a little nervous about trying to get that customer. You're going to be a little concerned about whether I can really help them. That's not bad, because that means you care.
Yes.
What kind of person is concerned about not getting results? Someone who cares. Now, charlatans don't care.
That's true.
They'll take your money and run. You care. That's why you're concerned about this. So that's good. So just go out and do it. And if you're really, really concerned, a lot of people I know have done the first time they've done a particular service, if it's not too time consuming, free. And then I say, but it's free, not really, if you do it that way. Because sometimes people really say, I don't want to charge yet until I do something. I say, it's fine, but don't make it really free. Make it in exchange for feedback.
Yes.
That this feedback is the payment. So it's not optional that they give you this feedback. It's part of the deal. And that means if it goes well, it's a testimonial. If it doesn't go well, it's feedback on how you can improve. And that way everybody wins. And so, so that's what I leave you with is get yourself an offer, get a customer, You think I have to get the perfect offer? No, your customer's going to let you know how imperfect your offer is.
Your wife will, one of the two.
You're somebody, yeah. But the thing is, customers are the best feedback. People who are really experienced in marketing, some of them give good feedback, some of them don't, because sometimes if they're very much entrepreneurial, like they do new things, then they'll hear and they'll say, I think I could see how that could work. If they're very much, I always do, I'm an MBA and I always only follow these, strategies, and I always have to do market research. And I'm not saying that MBAs are bad if you're an MBA listening to this, but every once in a while I've met a rigid MBA, obviously there's flexible ones who are like, well, I don't know because we haven't done market research yet and this and that. I say, you can do that. And if you're a Fortune 500 company, that's part of your procedure, go ahead. But in Japan, the equivalent of Fortune 500 companies, what they do? They just create products really fast and test them really fast.
Okay.
And they're actually impressed with our research process for products. And then the Americans are a lot of times impressed with their ability to get a new product to market and test it. And so they're both very useful. But when you're a one-person business or a very small business, sometimes speed is your best friend. Yes. And the speedy approach where you just get out there and try it with very low investment of time and money is just going to get you that learning. And mass market research processes, I don't think apply to one-person businesses, because we're not talking about millions of clients.
No,
we only need this really small subset of human beings. So yeah, get a customer, get an offer, create an offer, get a customer, and learn from that experience, and just keep reiterating until you've got something.
Mate, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you today.
Yeah.
If people want to get in touch with you, where do they find you?
The best places to go is my website, selfinfluence.net.
Yep.
So it's just self, SELF, and then the word influence.net. And on the homepage, you'll learn a bit about me. And there's also a link to get my free report on why free reports fail and how to make free reports that actually your clients will love and make them love you and want to do business with you.
Mate, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. You stay safe, look after yourself, and as we say at the end of every one of our podcasts, have a groovy day.
Awesome. Thank you.